Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're a new subscriber, I hope you stick around, and if you're a returning subscriber, then hey girl, hey. But yes, so I wanted to do like my May TBR. I think this is gonna be a short video because my May TBR isn't so long. Like I usually do like very long TBRs and I rarely ever follow them through like all the way through. So I just decided, let me just stick to like a shorter TBR, just under 10 books. These are books, essentially these are books that caught my eye, and these are books that I would like to read, but I'm just like a big mood reader, and I be having so many ideas in my login. Like if an idea pops in my head, I will want to leave the other one behind and start with the new one, and it is what it is. But yes, so let's quickly just get into these books and talk about them a little bit. Okay, so the first book is The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. This book is coming out on the 13th of May, I believe, so it hasn't been published or released yet, but it will be coming out in the month of May, and as soon as it comes out, I do plan on reading it. And this book is essentially about a man who he witnessed like a near-death experience when he was younger with a notorious serial killer, and he literally he got lucky. Okay, he got lucky and he survived. So then he dedicates his life to becoming a, what do they call it, a profiler. And then when he gets older, one day his father passes away, and it's under like very suspicious circumstances. And then he goes back to his small community town, and then he's like, maybe my father's death could be related to the serial killer that I encountered when I was younger. And so it's basically about him figuring out what happened to his father, and also I think also just like dealing with his demons. And yeah, so it does sound like it's gonna be a fun time thriller. And I don't know, I love thrillers about serial killers. I love thrillers about people being unhinged, but it kind of also just has to be done like right, because if it's not done right, like if I'm not getting the perspective of the serial killer and not understanding why he's a serial killer, I'm not gonna enjoy reading the book. But yes. And then the next book is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. And this one is about a woman who, she's a screenwriter. Like she writes writing for like movies, right? Yes, I think that's what a screenwriter is. So she has two kids, and then her husband one day decides he's gonna bounce. Okay, so he leaves her and their kids, and then she basically writes about her life story. I think she writes about her life story, and it gets picked up by like a big TV production whatever thing. I don't know much about film, okay? And so it gets picked up by that, and they're like, we have a proposition for you. You will play yourself in this movie, but we will bring in, okay, a former sexiest man alive to play your husband, and we would actually like to film in your house. And then they film and everything goes well and whatever. And then after they're done filming and the filming crew leaves, former sexiest man alive is like, I don't want to leave. Can I stay for like another week? And he's like, I'll pay you to stay in your house. And she's like, well, I do kind of need the money. But she also is just like, he kind of looks so sad, so I'll just let him stay for a week. And obviously it's a romance. Obviously it's going to be cutesy. And I just feel like it's going to be like a really nice palette cleanser in between all the dark books that I do read. But yeah. The next book is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, and I have read all of her books. I've been reading this one off because I don't want to finish her entire backlog, because I absolutely love her books. But it might just be time, because I really do want to read it, and I'm in the mood for like her book, you know? And yeah, so this is like, I think it's like a shorter book. It's like less than 200 pages if I'm not mistaken, but this is like a shorter book. And this is essentially about a woman. She's basically like a con artist, okay? She does like small little harmless fraudulent things. So she one day sees this woman walking by, and she's like, I'm just gonna tell her I'm like a psychic. And yeah, so she basically kind of tells her, you're unhappy, you're this, you're that, you're that. And then they, I don't know, they kind of like agree to go to her house. And then when she gets there, the house is kind of like, it's giving like haunted vibes, it's giving like ghosty vibes. And it's not particularly my favorite trope, but I'll do it for Gillian, okay? I'll definitely do it for Gillian. And yeah, so then when they get and when they get there, she has a son, and the son is also kind of like weird. He's also kind of like spooky vibes. So yeah, I feel like there should be like a short scary book, and maybe I can do scary if it's like short. I feel like people were saying that, what was that book? Karen Slaughter's Pretty Girls. I feel like people were saying that it's it borderlines horror, and I'm like, I got the gruesome parts, but it wasn't like, I was scared, but it wasn't giving me horror. So if people are saying that that book is like really gruesome, then maybe I can dabble into horror a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But yeah, I kind of have like a cold, so I don't know if you can tell that like my voice is just a little bit, my nose is, oh my gosh, like a lot is happening, Guni, and I'm just going through it, okay? All of it. I'm going through it. This next one is Good Bad Girl. Good Girl Bad Something by Alice Finney. And I want to finish Alice Finney's backlog. That's why I'm reading this book. The next one is also going to be an Alice Finney book, but I want to finish her backlog, and these are the last two books from her books that I haven't read. The latest one that came out, it came out this year, I think, Beautiful Ugly. I read that one as well. So these are literally, I think these are also like the oldest books that she, like the oldest ones, if I'm not mistaken. So these are just the last two that I need to read. And so this book sounds very complicated. It sounds so complicated, and I don't even need to know what it's about. I just know that I want to read it because I want to finish her backlog. But I'll try and like explain it. A child goes missing from a stroller. A woman gets killed at a care home. And then a woman who's 80 years old and a nurse are trying to solve the crime, but the nurse is lying. Like they form a bond. The 80-year-old at the care home and the nurse form like kind of like a friendship, a bond or whatever. But the nurse is kind of just lying to the 80-year-old woman about everything. I don't know what that's about, but she's kind of just lying to her about everything. And then another woman walks into her her life, and she's also just like, the description was kind of just confusing. She walks into her life, and then the three of them start, or the four of them, because then they spoke about her daughter. Just a lot is going on. They also spoke about the 8-year-old woman's daughter. And then they start trying to figure out what happened to the baby, what happened to the baby's mom, and how those two things are linked, and how the murder is also linked. Something like that, something like that. Like I said, the description sounds very complicated, and I think because it's also like an older book, I haven't heard many people talking about it. So yeah, but I do plan on reading it, and that's really it. And then the other Alice Feeney book that I have is I Know Who You Are. And this one is about an actress who apparently everybody seems to think that they know her from somewhere, like outside of the acting, I'm assuming. I'm sorry, but these descriptions are wild. But yeah, so and except for one person who's like, I know her well, okay? I know Little Missy well. And so when she comes home one day, the actress, when she comes home one day, her husband is missing, and the police, when they start like asking her questions, she kind of looks a little bit suspicious because they're like, is she hiding something? Is she hiding something? And it turns out she is hiding something, but might not quite be what they had expected. And then the person that claims to know her and know her well is also just like, I know what you did, ma'am. I know who you are, you know? And yeah, it's just giving those vibes. And like I said, with these two books, it's really not about whether or not the books sound interesting. It's just me trying to get through Alice Finney's backlog, and that's literally all it is. And I will be reading them, and even if I don't like them, I'll force myself to finish them, because the ratings on these books aren't great. They aren't great. And also, there are a few Alice Finney books that I rated like super low, but they have really high ratings. So I'm like, it could go either way with her, honestly. So yeah, yeah. I feel like the generally the books that people disliked, I liked. So I don't know with this one because people dislike it. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the books. But yeah. Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. Ehrlich, yes, it is Ehrlich. And this book is about 8 different people who. Okay, so people wake up one day and the entire everybody in the world, okay, everybody on earth wakes up one day and at their doorstep is like a box that tells each and every person how long they will live. So this book goes into the lives of 8 different people as they navigate finding out how long they live. Some people open their box and find out how long they live. Other people choose not to open their box and just live life like a normal person and not know. Other people just, I don't know, there's something in my book. I heard books get mold, guys. Is that true? That would be traumatic. Honestly, that would be traumatic. No, it doesn't seem like it's mold, but what is this? Is it dust? How? But sorry. Anyway, so what was I saying? So some people decide that they want to know what happened, and other people are just like, I don't want to know. I just want to continue living my life, and not know when I'm going to die because why would you want to know? Like, why would you want to know? It'll just put you in like a panic mode. So I feel like then we just go into their lives and how their decisions will then affect the world in general. And I feel like maybe this book might be trying to show us how different things could be if we knew when we were going to die. How knowing when you were going to die could potentially ruin a lot of other things in life, you know? I feel like, I mean, let me make an example. So, if everybody knew when they were going to die, and you knew that you were going to die tomorrow, and your boyfriend goes and cheats on you today, you could literally just kill him. Terrible, terrible example. But you could literally just kill him and then be like, I'm dying tomorrow in any case. But do you get what I'm saying? So, anyway, so I feel like it's gonna be one of those like really emotional things, like one of those really thought provoking type of books that goes into why you finding out when you're going to die isn't necessarily a good thing, essentially. So yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a fun time, and I've seen a lot of people give this book 5 stars, and it's a lot of people whose opinions I feel like whose book recommendations I generally gel with like most of the time. So yeah. And then the next book is Girl 11 by Amy Suter Clark. And this book is a podcast book, okay? It's got podcast element to it and I love that. But yeah, so this book is about a woman who oh, teeth clean. This book is about a woman. I get distracted really quickly. This book is about a woman who she has a podcast and where she kind of just like solves or helps to solve crimes and like missing kids and like abducted kids and like kids that were like killed, like serial killer things like that, cases. And apparently she's had a little bit of success like solving those crimes. So yeah, so there was, I think it's like a TDK killer who used to kill young girls, and each time he'd kill a girl he'd just go a year younger and a year younger and a year younger. And then it came to a time when he killed an 11-year-old girl, and then after that 11-year-old girl was killed, the crimes just stopped and no girls were abducted, you know, it just stopped on girl 11. And so then his body is found and people assume that he was he committed suicide. But the podcast woman never quite believed, I think it's Ella or Ellie, she never quite believed that that was him, that was the the actual serial killer. So when a girl goes missing again, like years later, she's like, maybe I might need to go back and like revisit this particular case and try to figure out what the actual truth was, because the police have already concluded that the killer was that the killer committed suicide. So she's like, I'm not so convinced, and I'm going to look into it. And yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a really fun time. I like the podcast element to it, and I've read there have been books that I've liked with a podcast element, and then there have been books that I didn't quite like. But I feel like it needs to be done a certain type of way for me to understand it. And for it, I feel like because sometimes a podcast element can take you out of the story, and then every single time you need to go back into the story, it kind of feels like I need to start from the beginning. Kind of like when I was reading, what was that book? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. All those transcripts and all those everything that was going on in that book put me out of the story, and it felt like every time I had to read the actual story, and it wasn't like me reading a transcript that I honestly genuinely didn't care for. Like, you can just give me the summarized version, but I felt like I couldn't go back into the story. And that's why I didn't have that book very quickly on, and people love it so much. I kind of just feel so bad, but I know I won't be able to do it. It's too chaotic, and I'm generally a very chaotic person. There's like very so much chaos going on in my brain, like everything all at once, like 15 million tabs open. But I don't need my book to have 15 million tabs open in it as well. Just keep it short and simple, okay? I have school textbooks for that complicated stuff. I don't need my reading books to be as well. So that's why I just didn't doubt that one. So hopefully it's simple. Hopefully the podcast element in it is simple. Kind of like how they did in Listen for the Lie. It was just a podcast element, and then they go back into the story. That was simple. That was easy for me to understand. It was easy for me to gel with. And I enjoyed that book. I really, really did enjoy that book. So, yeah. Okay, guys, so those are all the books that I would hopefully like to read in the month of May. And I get the feeling that my camera was all over the place. Like, I feel like the lenses definitely, like, not even the lenses, like the angles slightly changed throughout the video. And hopefully it doesn't look too bad, because I feel like it did, because I feel like I moved it quite often, because I literally couldn't get it to look the way that I wanted it to look. And yeah, I'm pretty sure some of like my makeup brushes are showing in some clips, because yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I kept changing the angle of the camera slightly. um but yeah, hopefully it's not too bad, and hopefully it's like not too noticeable to a point where it's kind of like bugging somebody. But yeah, so I hope you guys will like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and until next time, guys, bye.